What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today we're going to be looking at some NHL trade rumors, more specifically to the Toronto Maple Leafs, who they could be trading off and who they could be acquiring. Now, I know what a lot of you guys are thinking right now. We just signed TJ Brodie to a 4-year deal and the AAV is $5 million. We signed Wayne Simmonds to a 1-year deal at $1.5 million, and the Leafs are currently a little bit over the NHL salary cap that's set at $81.5 million. Now, you can be 10% over the cap during the offseason, so the Leafs are still fine right now. But how are they going to add via trade, or how are they going to add at all if they're over the salary cap? Well, we're going to look into that today, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory that the Leafs are more than likely going to be trading one of Andreas Johnson or both Andreas Johnson and Alex Kerfoot. So there's that possibility. I also look at the possibility of trading Justin Holl to improve that right side even more. We'll get into that. Maybe Freddy Anderson. Again, we're going to look at that in a little bit. But there's a guy that I kind of want to focus on, and that's Mackenzie Weegar, and it's not far-fetched to think that the Leafs could be looking at this guy. But before I do get into this any deeper, thank you guys so much for all the support on this channel. If you are new, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe. I talk a lot about the Leafs, but I am trying to get more videos out that have to do with the entire NHL. I work a full-time job, so this is kind of something that I do whenever I get home, and sometimes I don't always get the chance to post multiple videos per day. But if you could subscribe to this channel, I'd greatly appreciate that. More is on the way always, and there'll be more on all NHL teams, I'm sure, in the coming days. But let's start off with this tweet from Elliotte Friedman, and there were some tweets from Pierre LeBrun, I think Darren Dreger. A lot of the insiders were in on this during the first day of NHL free agency, because a lot of teams make trades during free agency as well to clear up that cap space to make sure that they can sign the player that they're going after. But Elliotte Friedman said, this was attached to another tweet, one name that isn't the biggest, but Will is gaining traction is Florida's Mackenzie Weegar, right shot defenseman who is arbitration eligible. I think there's interest, and he is exactly the type of player Toronto would look at. Enjoy the day. So this was before they signed Tyson Barrie, before they signed TJ Brodie, not Tyson Barrie. I love the guy, but he's not the right fit in Toronto. TJ Brodie, that was before they got TJ Brodie. And you know, looking at this, I was like, okay, this is interesting, because I am a fan of Mackenzie Weegar, the style that he plays. He's more of a defensive style defenseman. Florida has basically reshaped their team. They look completely different, and they just signed Radko Gudas. That blue line could be a little bit crowded because Mackenzie Weegar still needs a contract. He's currently a restricted free agent, and it looks like he was looking for $3 million from the Florida Panthers, but I don't think that that's probably accurate. I think it's going to be more than that. I think it's anywhere between $3.5 to $4 million is what he might be looking at on a longer term deal, probably in the 4 to 5 year range, probably would cap it at 4. But I just want to show you guys this real quick. Jake Muzzin's on the right there, Mackenzie Weegar on the left, as you can see. Now, even strength time on ice there is listed above. It's not right at the exact same amount, but let me just put it in the simplest way possible. Those purple, you know, whatever color you think that it is, violet, purple, like whatever. It's the colors. It's purple. You see how they're going up? Those are good. You do not want to be underneath. Now there is one there for Mackenzie Weegar, but it's not like it's barely past it. That's not bad at all. But these numbers just show how positive or negative a player is. And this chart right here is showing that Jake Muzzin and Mackenzie Weegar are very similar in terms of them being very defensively sound. They're positive towards their team. So Mackenzie Weegar would definitely be welcomed on the Toronto blue line. And could you imagine having Jake Muzzin, Morgan Rielly, Mackenzie Weegar, TJ Brodie? Like, this is more of a defensive style that can put up a little bit of points. Mackenzie Weegar is also pretty physical. He's not afraid to get into some fights. He's one-punched a guy before. He's not afraid to get a little rough, and he plays that defensive style of game that the Toronto Maple Leafs desperately need. You address some of that with TJ Brodie. You obviously have Jake Muzzin for that as well, but getting more of that is something that the Leafs need to explore. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So this is what I looked at. So hypothetically, in this chart here, I traded Andreas Johnson, because it's pretty inevitable. And if you are going to be looking to upgrade on the blue line, you're more than likely going to be trading Justin Hall as well. Because, guys, Mikko Lehtinen, I know a lot of people aren't giving him credit yet, but he was the top defensive, free agent out of the KHL, and he was also the defenseman of the year in the KHL. He's over a point per game right now in the KHL. I believe he has like 13 points in 8 games. He's taking a ton of shots on goal. He's pretty defensively sound. Some people would describe him as the best player on the ice at all times. This guy looks really good. He didn't sign in Toronto to not play. He signed in Toronto to play, so he will be on this team. There's some reporters out of Finland and out of Russia that are saying that the North American media is not giving Mikko Lehtinen enough credit, and that guy could be a top 4 defenseman. Well, that would be welcomed with open arms in Toronto. But I have him here paired with Travis Dermott, which, by the way, maybe Travis Dermott doesn't come back and you put Rasmus Sandin there. The Leafs have sent a qualifying offer to Travis Dermott, but $1.2 million is what I would predict Dermott would get. But again, like I said, you could save a little bit of money and have Rasmus Sandin there. You have Jake Muzzin. I signed Mackenzie Weegar to a $3.8 million deal after trading Andreas Johnson and a 3rd-round pick. You might not even have to give up a pick in that deal. I'm not sure what Florida's looking for, but I traded Johnson and a pick to Florida for Mackenzie Weegar and signed him $3.8 million for 4 years. And then, of course, TJ Brody and Morgan Riley. And you guys are looking at that cap space, and it says negative $1.5 million. Now, this is where things could get interesting. Like I said, you could have Rasmus Sandin there instead of Dermott and save like $300,000 or $400,000. Great. You could also trade Alex Kerfoot and sign a cheaper 3rd-line center, or put Pierre Engvall at that 3rd-line center and sign a cheaper winger. Or move Mikheyev up, bring up Igor Korshkov on the 4th line. You could also end up trading Pierre Engvall. You could also end up trading Freddy Anderson and get a different goaltender to play alongside Jack Campbell as a 1A, 1B type of tandem. There's a bunch of ways for the Leafs to save money. But what you're sacrificing here is that you could get a little bit more physical in your bottom 6. Not as much skill, but physicality. Some guys that could put up points, like if Pierre Engvall returns to a decent form, that's not a bad guy to have down there. Wayne Simmons is in good shape. If he puts in a couple goals here and there, and all he has to do is be a physical, scary presence on the ice, that's a good guy to have there. Barabonov signed out of the KHL. A lot of people are interested in him as well. Apparently he's quite good, so that's not a bad option. Jason Spezza, vintage, we know, we love the guy. He can put up 25, 30 points. And then, of course, like I said, maybe the Leafs don't even bring back Mikheyev. They sign a cheaper option there, but Mikheyev in the bottom 6, if he can play like he did before the injury, of course, this bottom 6 wouldn't look too bad. You just have to figure out, are you going to upgrade on the blue line and trade a guy like Kerfoot and save some money on that 3rd-line center's position? Or are you going to trade Freddy Anderson, sign a different goaltender to, like a $3 million deal to pair with Jack Campbell? Or maybe it's via trade. I'm not sure. But is that an option? It could possibly be. There are options for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, just quickly looking at Mackenzie Weegar's stats, just to give you guys an idea, he's not an offensive type of guy. The 16-17 season only played 3 games. Not fair to judge him off that. 8 points in 60 games in the 17-18 season, followed by the 18-19 season, 15 and 64. And then this past season in 45 games played, he had 18 points. So gradually getting better offensively. Those 7 goals are really nice to add to the team. But that's not what you're getting him for. You're getting him for that defensive style. You're getting him for that physicality, to pair up, with Jake Muzzin, because that would be a very, very good shutdown pair. Over the years, his minutes has gone up. He's a 20 to 22 minute per night type of guy. So you're easily slotting him into the top 4 with no issues. And all of a sudden, Toronto's blue line becomes much stronger, much better. It starts to look like Toronto has a strength on the blue line, because TJ Brody and Morgan Riley could work really well. If it doesn't, you could put Brody with Muzzin. You know what I mean? You could switch that up a little bit. And people are complaining, yes, TJ Brody is left-handed, but he plays on the right side. Mikko Lehtinen is left-handed, but he plays on the right side. Same with Dermott. They could swap. You could have Lehtinen on the left, Dermott on the right. Guys, these guys can play different spots, and they have for a long time. Dermott played on the right with the Marlies. Lettinen played on the right in the KHL. Brody played on the first pairing on the right side, even though he's a left-handed shot. They all can move around, and Mackenzie Weegar is a right-handed shot. So there you go. If everybody wants the right-handed shot guy, Mackenzie Weegar does play and shoot on the right side. So that would be welcomed with open arms. But like the point I'm trying to get to, the Leafs do have options. Kyle Dubas even said himself yesterday, the Leafs don't think that they're done. They want to make, improvements in other areas. If they can continue to improve on their blue line, they're going to explore that. And they do have cap flexibility. Guys, they don't have some of the bad contracts that teams have. Like Tampa Bay, even though Tyler Johnson is a good player, couldn't find a suitor for that contract. So they had to put him on waivers. You've got teams like Vancouver that couldn't sign Markstrom, that couldn't sign Tanev. They had to go after plan B options because they couldn't get the guys that they wanted to keep because they have bad contracts on that team. They have Eriksson, they have Beagle. They have guys that they can't move. Those guys are not getting traded. The Leafs have guys like Kerfoot, who is still a very, very good third-line center, which I would hope the Leafs could find a way to hold on to. They have Freddy Anderson, who, while his cap hit is $5 million, is only getting paid $1 million in real dollars. Marner and Nylander, don't want them traded, but their contract is basically half paid for already in real dollars. Their cap hit stays the same, but in real dollars, they're already halfway through being paid. Then you've got Andreas Johnson, 20-goal guy that's going to have a bounce-back year. Lots of teams are interested in Andreas Johnson, I'm sure, at the right price. Like, look at Florida. They're losing out on a lot of scoring. They're trying to revamp their team. Johnson's a good depth move for them. If they're gonna lose a defenseman, might as well replace him with a nice forward. Maybe they'd be interested in Justin Hall as well, just as a bottom pairing guy. Who knows? The Leafs have tradable assets. They're not locked in, and oh my God, nobody's gonna want to touch them. They got a first-round pick for Kasperi Kapanen. He's a third-line player, and people are like, oh, he's gonna thrive in the top 6. I hope he does. I hope he does great in Pittsburgh. But he couldn't play with Tavares. He couldn't play with Matthews. He couldn't play with Marner. He couldn't play with Nylander. Hell, he couldn't keep up with Zach Hyman. So what makes you think he's gonna do better over there? Sure, Crosby, Malkin, fantastic. But not everybody just works out in a top 6. Some guys are just born to play on different lines, and I think Kapanen is a perfect example of a guy who is on the third line and he's almost one-dimensional. I love the guy, but it just wasn't the right fit for Toronto, and we ended up with a first-round pick. We could get a second-round pick for Andreas Johnson. Look, Elias Anderson, sure, he's got potential, but what did the Kings got him for, like a third or second-round pick? I think it was a third-round pick. Guys, the Leafs can get good assets for their players. They don't have to trade everybody, but they can get good assets for a lot of guys. So let me know what you guys think. Again, this is just a rumor video, so you guys can have your own opinion. Let me know down below what you guys think. I think Mackenzie Weegar would be a perfect fit in Toronto, just bolstering that blue line. Make sure to go and support my friend Downtown Sports, aka DTSB, Downtown Stephen Brown. Go check out his videos. His channel is on my channel under like the suggested videos, so go check him out. He's probably got a video like this out already. I think he does. I thought I got a notification, but him and I were talking about giving our opinions, and we should have some collabs coming out soon. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure to subscribe if you're new, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video or stream. Peace.